All your favorites right here on the CCFM Drive. Good afternoon to you and yours. If you have just tuned in, 18 minutes after 4 o'clock, you heard the sounds of the Kiftens Andrew Sean. It's titled It's a Beautiful Day. Ahead of that, Lauren Daigle with New, and also a bit of jazz, Jonathan Butler with Brand New Day. It is indeed a brand new day. Like I mentioned, we are going to have once again an insightful conversation right about now. In fact, join us live on Facebook as well as YouTube.
Absolutely. We're going to be chatting to Maya on the line with us here. Hi, Maya du Plessis. We're going to be chatting, about something very interesting, Tash, especially when it's aligned with Wellness Wednesday.
Yeah.
That we need to, dive into, especially when it has to come with sensing technology. That's what we're going to be chatting to about. And I think Maya is actually the best person to chat with us because he's also busy with a master's, which we're going to be wishing her all the best with that, focusing on management of children living with type 1 diabetes. I want to give you a warm welcome. Good afternoon, Maya.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
How are you doing this Wellness Wednesday?
Good. Doing well. Thanks.
We absolutely love that. We want to dive rather straight into the conversation. Thank you so much as well for joining us and just making time about this. We read up on this and it's so interesting what is happening. For the benefit of our listeners, can you explain to us, please, how sensing technology has revolutionized diabetes management for children?
Yeah, no, it's amazing what's happened in the last few years in South Africa. I think we're a little bit late on the sensing technology side compared to the rest of the world. But prior to sensing technology, all kids with type 1 diabetes had to prick their finger with just a normal glucose monitor in order to see what their blood sugar levels are. And kids with type 1 diabetes have to do this the whole day. And I mean, you can imagine for a small child having to prick their finger at least 4 or 5 times a day is really painful. So basically what the sensing technology is, it's a tiny little device. It's like I always say it's like a 5 Rand coin that goes on the back of the arm. And some of them also can go on the stomach, but a Freestyle Libre one, that's the new one that's just launched, goes on the back of the arm, and it gives continuous glucose monitoring. So it keeps on telling you the whole time, 24/7, how much your blood glucose levels are, which is just amazing. It compared to previously where you only had a little snapshot of what the blood glucose levels are. Now it's 24/7. It gives little graphs. It's really just amazing and revolutionary for everyone involved, the child, the parents, the school, and everyone, healthcare providers, dieticians, doctors. Yeah.
Wow. This is really a game changer. And I know you mentioned in South Africa, we're a bit late, but we've caught on, or we're catching on. You touched on the Libre, this app. I wanted to touch on something, the app. I think it's the Libre Link Up app. How is this going to benefit the child or the individual using it, as well as the teachers or guardians as well?
Yeah. So how it works is the little sensor is connected either to a little reader or to an app on the phone through Bluetooth, which is just amazing. And it tells you the readings constantly. It gives you graphs if the blood sugar levels are going up or down. And then there's another app, the Link Up app, which the parents can put on their phone, or the teachers can put on their phone, or even the healthcare providers can get that same data on their phone. So it's not just going to one phone, it's linking up with all the care providers or the parents or the school, which honestly is just amazing, because some of my kids before, the parents would go into school to check the levels, or phone the teachers or phone the school to see how the levels are, or kids didn't go on camps because the parents couldn't see what's going on. But now the parents can monitor it 24/7, which is just amazing. At night, it sends alarms if the sugar levels are going up or down. So yeah, it really just keeps the parents connected, keeps the teachers connected. And I think it also takes a little bit of the stress from the child, because the parent can monitor everything remotely. They don't have to be there with the child. The child can, carry on with their normal life because they're normal kids. And they just, have to measure their blood sugar levels and inject insulin. So just nothing different than any other child. So I think it just makes it a little bit less stressful for those kids.
Absolutely, it definitely does. Before I give over to Tash, I've got one more question that I'd love to ask you. And that's in terms of, can you elaborate and just share a little bit more on how the sensing technology facility has enabled children and even those, who are using it to be able to still continue playing sports, and also just give them, much better options in terms of choosing their dietary options when it comes to that and dealing with diabetes.
Yeah, definitely. One of my other interests is sports. So, and it's really important for kids with type 1 diabetes to continue playing sports, to continue doing normal things like going on camps, going away for weekends, going for sleepovers. So, your blood glucose levels change the whole time, depending on
Mm.
what you eat, obviously, but also activity. So sport can increase your blood sugar levels, which a lot of people don't know, but it can also decrease.
Hmm.
So you have to continuously monitor blood sugar levels, and with sport, it's super important. So they have to monitor it throughout the whole sport. So because the sugars can go up, they can go down, and it can be dangerous if the sugars go really low, and they won't feel well if the sugars go really high. So when kids are playing sport, kids with type 1 diabetes, they need to monitor the sugar throughout the whole, like they need to check it every 10 minutes. So this is amazing because it has little alarms, so it can make a little alarm saying sugar's going up or sugar's going down, and you can prevent it from going too low or prevent it from going too high. So you can put steps in place like either injecting extra insulin if it's gone high, or giving extra food if it's going low. So that's just amazing because the blood sugar levels change continuously. So you want to actually pick up on things as soon as it happens, and put measures in place to prevent a high or to prevent a low. So I think it's
Yeah.
Wow.
just really really amazing.
On the line, we actually live as well on YouTube as well as Facebook, chatting to Maya du Plessis, who was a registered dietitian as well as currently busy with her masters in terms of nutritional management of children dealing with type 1 diabetes. Tash, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Maya, for making the time to chat to us this afternoon. And I want to talk about, I mean, I know that there are barriers to everything and challenges to everything, and in particular, financial barriers. Not everybody can access,
Yeah.
the sensing technology, the app, even something like the app. How do you think we can address this issue as a nation, just to ensure that there is equitable access for all children with diabetes?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think honestly, every single child with type 1 diabetes needs to have a continuous glucose monitor, like the Freestyle Libre, for instance. Um, I actually just moved to London to become a pediatric diabetes dietitian, and every single child in the UK who has type 1 diabetes has one of those. And I would love for that to happen in South Africa as well. But we've got lots of issues in kids who are seen in government don't have. A few of them do, but most of the kids are still doing finger pricks. And then most kids who are on medical aids also don't have. There are some medical aids who are getting on board, which is amazing. Discovery was one of them, and a few others are slowly coming on board. But we really it needs to be accessible for everyone. I mean, myself as a dietitian, I can't. It's difficult for me to make a lot of changes in the child's diet
Yeah.
without all of this data, and even like more difficult for the endocrinologists and the pediatricians to make insulin adjustments. It's so difficult to make insulin adjustments if you don't know what's going on 24/7. I mean, if you've got 5 glucose readings a day, you can't change the insulin levels, and it's also dangerous to play with the insulin amounts without having a lot of data to see what's going on. If the kids go low at night, it can be very dangerous. So it's so really difficult for us to actually change things up and have kids who have really great blood glucose control if they don't have the sensing technology. So it needs to be accessible to every single child with type 1 diabetes.
Just touching on that, Maya, I think when we think of practical ways, if any, what
Mm.
steps can we take to raise awareness? Because I think, part of the issue is that there's not enough awareness around this. And
Mm.
Yeah.
so if we're looking and if we're wanting to advocate for greater support within our communities within South Africa, how do we go about doing that?
Definitely try to get your message across on social media. Contacting your medical aid and putting pressure on the medical aids. I mean, that's how this whole Discovery thing happened, where Discovery sort of got on board. There was a lot of pressure on them to provide their members with these sensing technology. Reaching out to your dietitian to keep on writing motivations to the medical aid to try to cover these things. The more motivations dietitians write to cover these things, for the medical aid to cover these things, the more the medical aids will realize, you know what, this is really, really important. And then another thing I think is just research. So that's why I'm doing my master's as well, just to, there's not a lot of research on type 1 diabetes at all. So, getting people doing more research and more marketing so that a lot of more people can realize, what the impact of this is. And honestly, it has such a big financial implication as well for government and for medical aids. It can save the money,
Yeah.
less complications. So lots of studies have shown that kids with really good blood sugar control, and oftentimes kids with senses have really good blood sugar control. Good blood sugar control means they will have less complications, so less hospitalizations, less, appointments, issues. It costs medical aid a lot less money in the long term. So
Mm.
it's a great, and it's a relatively inexpensive way to manage blood sugar levels. In the long term, it saves the medical aid actually quite a lot of money.
Yeah. And then just before we let you go, bringing it, I guess, to the community again, where can we find a platform that offers this kind of information, a hub, if you will, just for anyone listening and they're wanting to educate themselves on type 1 diabetes?
I would say, there's quite a lot of great Instagram pages, that advocate for type 1 diabetes. And then a lot of the sensing apps have great information out there as well. I know Freestyle Libre has launched a campaign to get the message across about sensing technology. So Freestyle Libre is one. The other sensing technology is called Dexcom. So on their websites, they also do have, a lot of information. But there's a few Instagram pages that I just love following. And there's some great South African influencers who have type 1 diabetes. One of them is Kirsten. And yeah, they're just sending so many amazing messages across, and just showing people how it is to live with type 1 diabetes and the issues that we face in our country with people who live with type 1 diabetes.
Fantastic. Maya, thank you so much for the insight. It was a pleasure having you on the drive this afternoon. All the best with your masters.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
That was Maya.